Alright, quick video. I don't even think I'm going to edit this one. But we need to do a follow-up and talk about this barrel steamer. I have a run going now. So what better time than now to talk about it and answer some common questions I get, mostly in comment sections and emails. It seems I wasn't thorough enough on what this actually does. So I need to clarify that and to make sure that I have everybody covered who's building this. This barrel steamer right here, there is no substrate in it. It's just a barrel that produces steam. That's it. It pumps steam into whatever container you're using. The most popular is a cattle trough, which is what you see behind me, right? Let's show that. It's a 300-gallon cattle trough, and I just pipe in the steam with that blue hose, and I sterilize my substrate that way. Cooking times. You want a core temperature, 200 degrees Fahrenheit, for 6 to 8 hours. You have to measure that, usually with a barbecue temperature probe, and you just monitor it one time. And ideally you would have probes in several different areas of the trough just to ensure you're getting full sterilization throughout the entire process. That'd be ideal. I just did it on one block, so you could be better than me and do multiple blocks for sure. But you want to have a core temperature. That means the middle of your substrate is 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 to 8 hours. That may take 12 hours for some of you. That may take 24 for others. Depends on the climate in your area. I'm in Florida. It's hot all the time, even right now. If you notice, I still haven't insulated my barrel, the hose, or the trough. Underneath that blanket is just a metal trough. I haven't had to insulate anything. It's just so hot here. I'm still getting tons of steam. So it just isn't something I've had to do to maintain steam, although it is something I should do for safety reasons. The trough itself, it costed me, I believe it was $208, $210 from a feed shop. It's 300 gallons. It's 8 feet wide, 3 foot tall, 2 foot wide. And it holds about 150 10-pound blocks. It has a drain on it and a false bottom. On the bottom of my trough, on the inside, is a bunch of bricks and 2 pieces of long closet shelving that I cut to fit in an oval shape of the trough. And I just load on top of that. And I highly recommend using bricks to support the closet shelving, because if you use something like PVC, it ends up just melting, and the closet shelving melts into the PVC. Ask me how I know. The steamer barrel does not have a pressure relief valve. As Eric Myers would say, it currently has 35 pounds of pressure on the lid. But I don't need a pressure relief valve because it naturally leaks through this lid. It's hard to see, but a little bit of steam comes out. But more importantly, you have a 1-inch hose where steam is coming out of into the trough. So steam just pipes right on out. There's never any pressure. It's not in any danger of exploding or anything like that. Nothing to really worry about. However, if you want a more professional setup, then go ahead and put a pressure relief valve, or maybe 2 or 3. Let's see what else we got here. Sterilizing outdoors. So, in a perfect world, we would all be able to sterilize inside of a lab, or be able to sterilize outside and wheel the entire trough, room, barrel into the lab to cool down. The idea is that as the bags cool down, they're pulling in air from its environment around it. So it's possible it pulls in dirty air. So if it cools down in the lab, the theory is it pulls in clean air and reduces the risk of contamination. I have not found that to matter. I'm not saying it doesn't. And if I could do it, if I could swing that, I would. But it's not something I've found to matter right now. I'm not getting really much contamination. You know, I might see it in my spawn from time to time, but overall, the substrate blocks themselves, I'm just not getting contamination. Sounds like a brag, and I guess it kind of is, but I'm not getting any of those issues from sterilizing these things outdoors. And honestly, I couldn't imagine bringing this hot trough inside or a hot barrel inside, the AC bill would be nuts. So sterilizing grain, I get this one a lot. Can you do grain like for your spawn, like oats in here? There are already mushroom farms doing that. There are already mushroom farms steaming their grain in large quantities and selling them just like that, whether inoculated or not. I believe Andrew over at Mossy Creek says he's done it before, but he wouldn't expand it, and I tend to agree with that. You know, if you want to take that risk, go for it. Grain should honestly be used with, or sorry, sterilized with pressure. You should be using your pressure cookers or autoclaves, All Americans, Prestos, to sterilize your grain. If you mess up your spawn, if that gets contaminated, everything it touches contaminates from that point on. So I'm of the belief that you should just use pressure to fix that. If you want to take that risk, go for it. But I couldn't, in good faith, sell spawn that was just sterilized in this cattle trough. It just doesn't seem proper. It almost feels dirty to me. I had one guy that actually didn't use electric on this trough. Instead, he actually turned it into a propane steamer. So this barrel sitting on a propane burner, it works. I don't see why it wouldn't. Alright, so I lied. There's going to be at least one edit. Had somebody show up. A couple more points I thought of during that little break is a common mistake people make when building one of these barrels out is they use a 55-gallon barrel instead of a 30. This is a 30-gallon barrel. It's smaller and it's easier to heat up water in it. I'm not saying it can't be done with 55 gallons. It's just going to be more difficult to maintain temperature, and you are definitely going to have to insulate that, especially if you have a long run with your outlet hose. A lot of times people create this and they're not getting a lot of steam because they have a 55-gallon drum and their water level is up way too high. Even mine's, alright, there we go. Even mine's a bit high. If I could do it again, which I mentioned in the first video, I would have had it much lower. Just enough to cover the elements, because then it would produce steam minutes. Now it takes about 15-20 minutes before this barrel's really rocking. So don't forget to use a 30-gallon barrel and insulate it. And don't make your hose run too long going to your trough. And keep the water level as low as you can. Next build out, I will be definitely making my water level lower. Also, you don't have to pump into a cattle trough. It's just the most popular because it's cheap and readily available. Some people have entire closets they build and they have shelves in there and they just load up their blocks on those. And they pump steam into a giant room with their sauna steamers or barrel steamers. I think that's great. And one day I would totally love to build some sort of steaming closet and be able to make blocks with Thor, load it on carts, and just wheel the entire cart into the room. That's the dream right there, because then you only have to lift those blocks one time just to inoculate them and shake them. And I think that's the way to go. I still believe, after a certain point, if a farm wants to scale up to any degree, they should look into a steamer like this. There are other options, kind of like a friend of mine, Jesse Campbell, has this awesome Easy Bake. He calls it Easy Bake steamer, and it's fantastic. To me, it's perfect. I wish I had that as a perfect mediary or middle point between this setup and pressure cookers. That is a good setup. He's got a video coming on that soon, and I'll put a description to his channel, or a link to his channel in this description. That's a good middle point, and it's very cheap to build. I think it's like $100 tops to build that. This is a little more, mostly because of the cost of the barrel. But at some point, if you need to actually move a lot of mushrooms, you're going to have to sterilize in this manner. It's going to cost money. Not a ton of money, but if you want to do it like this, it's going to cost a little bit of money. I think this whole setup in the end was about $400. Maybe $500 if I include my time to run wire and stuff like that. What I like about this setup is with our new operation that's starting, I could pump steam into 2, 3 cattle troughs if I wanted to. And that's great. That's a never-ending source of blocks. I could run them at the same time and probably just tee off this hose, and I would probably still have enough steam for both of them at once. So then you're talking 300 blocks in one shot. There's a good segue. The update to the farm. Things are going well. I am still in the process of making blueprints for the building. I want to make sure that this farm is extremely efficient. We haven't broke ground or anything like that. I'm still mowing my butt off. But things are coming along. I am in the process of getting permits for it. So that's the longest part. Once the permits are there, the building just gets erected very quickly. That's all I really had to say for this one. Sorry I've been a little absent. Things are crazy. There's a mushroom shortage currently, and everybody's trying to take advantage of it, me included. I will talk to you next time. Take care.